Hi everyone, thank you for joining our webinar today. This is the complete guide to Open Day success, which is incredibly exciting on a Thursday. So to kick off, my name is Murray Simpson. I'm the Head of Higher Education at NetNative.
My name is Alex Calder. I am part of the Client Services team at Akiro, the technology arm of NetNative.
And I'm just going to ask, we've done a webinar before and then we got to the end and no one could hear us. So if someone can write in the question section that they can hear us, that would be greatly appreciated. And someone said, yes, that's perfect.
Wonderful.
That's good news. Right. So let's start just by kicking off what it is we're going to be covering in the webinar itself. So we're just going to do a very brief intro to natives and the type of work we do, and then we're actually going to go into a bit more detail on open days, because they really are a changing way of students have really changed the way in which they use open days at the moment, and so we're going to go into a bit of the statistics around that. Then we're going to talk about some innovative things that have been done within the private sector that we think universities could apply to their own open days. And then we're going to take a look at some of the things that universities have done really well to really make open days a bit more of an experience. So hopefully that'll give you some ideas on things you can do back at your own institutions. Then we're going to go more into the practical sense of what we find works well in terms of advertising for open days. And we're not just going to be talking about impressions and clicks. It's really about getting bums on seats when you're at the open day itself and tracking that journey all the way through. And then to finish, Alex is going to talk a little bit about Akiro and ways in which you can utilize software to actually be able to really engage and track your students through their open day journey. So just to kick off, with NetNative, we mainly offer 4 main services, and these are all tied into an open day plan essentially. So it's utilizing analytics, insights and research to inform the actual strategy for open days themselves. Then having a creative team who are there to come up with concepts and ideas that are actually going to make you stand out in the marketplace. Advertising itself in an accountable way that you can be quite agile with against what's working. And then finally, the technology side of things to really be able to track and nurture leads through the open day journey. So, open days. Again, these are kind of 4 key components to a successful open day. And just look at your own open day strategy. Many institutions focus on, right, we need to get bums on seats, let's just promote an open day on a specific date. That's actually for us the last part of the journey, which is the advertising. Before that, there's a whole process that the university should go through before planning the advertising itself. A lot of that is innovation, data, and creative to ensure that your open day is actually based on well-informed research and something that's actually going to stand out. So we're going to start on the research side of things. Now, this research is a mixture of research that we've done ourselves and also some other publishers out there have done, like the Student Room, on how students are actually utilising open days at the moment. So with the National Clearing Survey, which we launched last year, we found that 67% of students who went through clearing had not visited their university in person before they chose to study there. So that very much talks about the nature of clearing students themselves. Now, open days may therefore be seen as something that students go to throughout the year beforehand to really make an informed choice. But actually, a large portion of students who end up studying in your institution through clearing have never visited your institution before, but 71% have previously visited the university's website. So again, looking at almost a university shop window, the website is really important for those students who can't reach you. And in a market where we're becoming increasingly international, mature students, distance learners, the website's really important. So when we talk about content, we're going to go into a little bit more detail on how you can create that open day feeling without necessarily having students come to visit you on campus. Then when we move on to the actual statistics of students who weren't in clearing, so just students in general, this research was done by the Student Room in their report this year, I believe. And over half of pre-university students went to an open day to help with their university choice, while 60% visited the university website. So again, it goes back to your strategy for how you promote open days on the website itself. Many institutions just have an open day form, and that's kind of it. But actually, there should be options on there for students to be able to experience an open day who perhaps can't actually come. And that can be done in loads of innovative ways through video content, virtual reality, online open days, a whole range of different things. Then when you actually break it down into year 11, 12 and 13 students, the year 13 students felt the open days are very or somewhat useful, 94% of them altogether. So actually for that market who's very soon to progress into the traditional journey into university, open days are incredibly useful for them. 35% used open days when deciding on their initial top 5. And I really think that's where we're getting to now with the sector, is students making an informed decision on their top 5. And this year in clearing, I mean, people might all have different experiences in the sector, but our experience from working with a range of universities is there was less phone calls, but students were a lot more sure on where they wanted to study, and that whole pre-clearing research and the list of universities they actually wanted to choose was a lot more finite this year. And our interpretation of that would be that students are just doing a lot more research before it gets to clearing itself, and using clearing almost as their application process without even necessarily going through UCAS at all. So I think with open days, it's really communicating the value of them to those year 13 students, because what we usually find is if someone attends an open day, they're a lot more likely to convert. So how can you convince those students who are either just going to use clearing as their main route to actually go for an open day? And then when we go to year 11 and 12 students, only 59% of year 11s and 54% of year 12s found them useful. There's a lot of work that goes in universities into year 11 and 12 students, and maybe open days isn't the main pull. Maybe there's a whole range of other initiatives that institutions could use to engage those students. Excuse me. So in terms of data as well, that's very broad sector data, but a lot of that is then about benchmarking against your own students. And I'm sure many institutions do feedback on their open days and get feedback from students. And I've seen a lot of universities do nice things with student ambassadors. They try to incorporate games into the open day itself. But what we're going to do now is look at something that we really enjoy, which is all about creating tribes within your student base and actually creating an experience when they get there. And we find that type of activity can really help students have an experience when they come to see you. And we really think that that type of experience will stay with them and hopefully improve on that conversion. So we're going to start by just showing you a video of some promotion work that the Colour Run have done. So the Colour Run itself is actually just a 5K run, really. That's all it is. But I've done it, lots of my friends have done it. I know a lot of people in the local community do it. And actually what they've done is they've turned an event, a 5K run, into something that is more of an experience. And they've captured it really well by creating an atmosphere and a tribe-like environment where people really feel like they're all doing something for a common good. And that you could say that's quite easy to do for something that's for charity, but actually a lot of people that do the Colour Run, a lot of people that do the 5K itself, a huge number of them are doing it because they want, it can sound quite shallow, but a lot of them love the photos, and a lot of them love just the idea of having all this powdered paint in their face. And I think there's a lot to learn from events like that, where it creates something that's a little bit different. So I'm not saying to everyone to start getting packets of dried out paint and start spraying them all over your campus. But think about ways in which you can incorporate something which is a bit more of an event that your university might actually get a bit more well known for, and that you can actually generate some really nice content out of. We've got some ideas on ways in which universities can do that, which I won't share now because they're top secret. But I think overall there's some really nice lessons to be learned from the colour run, where they've just literally turned something that's quite normal into something that's quite beautiful. And on the screen now is what I'm sure you all have heard of, because I've got it. I'm level 19 on Pokemon Go. It's very exciting. And this is actually a campus in America which have been utilising Pokemon Go for some of their open day activity. And to be honest, it's very straightforward, to be honest. They've literally just, not advertised, but told the students who are coming to the open day that there are Pokemon on their campus. They set lures, if anybody has played the game before, at various Pokestops around the campus itself. So they've got loads of Pokemon there on the day. Now, I wouldn't say it's necessarily a big draw to get more people on. I wouldn't say, oh, let's tell everyone that we've got loads of Poke Centres, because that means they're going to come to our open day. That's not the plan at all itself. It's just giving students something to do on the campus that really gets them engaged with different parts of the campus, with technology itself. So I don't think we should necessarily be promoting Pokemon Go, but I think we should really be looking at how can we incorporate technology like this, which is utilising camera phone technology with reality, to actually get them to, again, form a bit of an experience when they're on the campus themselves. There's loads of great companies out there that do things like this in terms of virtual reality and things that you can actually get set up on your campus itself. And it's these things that can really make an impact on the experience when they're there. You can see a lot of institutions using apps in different ways. A lot of institutions use them for their current students. Now, Open Days is not necessarily your current students, but there may be ways in which you can incorporate technology like this into something which is there for your prospective students, again, to make them warm and keep them warm to come to your institution. So now I'm just going to talk about some of the creative work that's been done in the sector on Open Days, but not necessarily just on the Open Day itself, but creating experiences for students who can't necessarily attend, or allowing them to put themselves in the shoes of a student before they actually come. So I'm going to start by showing you the Quartold, which is a 360-degree video that students can actually navigate around on their phone or through a Oculus Rift, I think it's called.
There will be somewhere that you can go and see objects up close in person and sometimes even handle them.
There are many things that are special about the portal. One of the things that attracted me specifically to the conservation course is the very hands-on approach to learning. In the first year of our 3-year study, we get a painting that we treat from beginning to end, and that is something that is unique to this curriculum.
I've been exposed to a lot of art, and my idea of art has been broadened and intense. In my second year, I have a lot of work, but it's work that I greatly enjoy, and the subject is so easy to study.
TEDx started at the Quartold in 2014. We had heard about the TED Talk.
Okay, I'm going to stop that one now. Now, with the 360-degree videos, a lot of institutions produce them themselves, to be honest, but it's a nice way. Now, the point of view shot in that is actually someone looking around. They're either moving their phone or they've got a headpiece on. And technology like that can be really useful, not only for your website and for advertising, but actually if you're out on international fairs or you're talking to students in Europe who aren't necessarily going to come on campus, you can actually get very good cardboard, I can't remember what they're called, Oculus Rift cheap version, the cardboard version, branded up as your institution, and just put it on a phone, and they can actually have a look around the institution, get a real feel for it. And again, it goes back to that whole experience side of things. How can you create an experience for someone? And that a stand would really stand out over a lot of other institutions that are giving out prospectuses or suites. Actually, you have something with you that's going to have a bit more of an impact. So to move on from 360, this is just a video that was produced for the University of Hull for kind of a brand piece that has been used very successfully for their Open Day campaigns. And it just shows a bit of a different style in terms of promoting the institution itself.
There is only discovery on the horizon. Change bubbles beneath our feet. Are the heroes alone?
Now, I think what a lot of unis get tied into doing is listing their USPs and talking about, number 4 for student satisfaction and this, that, and the other. And there's a lot of institutions that don't have necessarily all of those rankings to be able to talk about them. I think what we're finding a lot across the sector now is universities are learning to say stuff without necessarily saying it and just listing things on why students should come and study with them. And I really think that for an Open Day and for a brand piece, a lot of it is actually about saying it without saying it. And I think the reason why we just liked that video was because it was quite authentic. It was a little bit different, and it really talks about the concept of the North and the institution itself, about the authenticity of the actual students themselves. So again, trying to get out of that mindset and that process of just going, Open Day on the 19th, we're the best for this, come and study now. There's some nice ways in which you can communicate that a bit differently through video and through copy. And finally, here's a piece that was done by Lancaster University on an actual personalised Open Day for students, depending on their background.
Congratulations on receiving a place at Lancaster. My name's Will, and I'm here to guide you through the welcome site and tell you what to do next. To get started, pick the option that best describes you. You're going to live off campus, but travel in to study. You'll be a member of a college, a department, and your student union. They're all looking forward to your arrival, and will send you information about the great things they offer before you get here. Here's what to do in the meantime.
So again, these are just examples of a bit of a personalised journey, and again, it goes back to students making their own choices about things. And many students, especially now, we've got such a diverse population of students, online courses, distance learning, blended learning, undergraduate study, that I really think it's about a mix of all the 3 different bits of content that you've just seen, and something that's immersive and 360 and experiential, a brand piece that communicates a feeling and an emotion, and then something that's a bit more practical that students can actually navigate through to find the information they need. That is a good content marketing approach, essentially, to video distribution that I think many institutions need to look at to ensure that it works across everything. A video like that probably wouldn't work on a Facebook advert as well, whereas a 360 video would. That video is probably more appropriate to the website as something for students who are a bit more committed to necessarily coming to the institution. So again, it's utilising content in the best way. And now I'm going to talk about advertising, which is always exciting. And this bit's a bit more focused on what we've learned as an agency that actually works well for institutions, so that universities are utilising their budgets in the best way. What I probably would say here is you could spend so much money on advertising, but if the content isn't interesting and it's not effective, then it's really going to impact on the performance of your advertising. And a lot of institutions shy away from investing lots in advertising, in creative, because they think, oh, we can't get a return on investment out of it. But advertising is the way to prove your return on investment on a lot of the creative work that you do, by showing the improvement in the results, the reduction in the cost per lead, the reduction in the cost per actual bum on seat. And so that's where we're really going with the cross-platform advertising side of things. Now, we've seen a lot of activity that University of Sussex have done, and we really love their work because, again, they say why they are a great university without actually saying it. They don't really list their rankings or their testimonials. A lot of it's actually very matter-of-fact things that they talk about. So let's change the meaning of charity. Let's investigate how the underdogs won the league. Let's use new technology to solve old problems. There was a really nice one was about let's change gender stereotypes, and it was let's cure diseases. And it was just really impactful copy that actually worked very well, and it makes students, when they first see your institution, know what the institution stands for. And it's interesting when you look at your own stuff, does what you say, what does it say about your institution? What feeling do students feel? And I think that's what Sussex have captured really well in their copy, is it creates a feeling of aspiration. It creates people who are maybe game changers and they want to change things. And that's the type of student that Sussex want. So I think there's a lot of work institutions can do around audience profiling. So who do they want to reach? And then how does that translate through into their creative? And for open days, you can be really innovative with that. So then to move on to the actual platform advertising itself, I'm just going to share some anecdotal thoughts that we've had and that we've learned from running open day advertising campaigns. So general matter of fact, LinkedIn as an example for undergraduate open days isn't an option we would usually use because a lot of it is a much more mature market, again depending on who your audience is for undergraduate study. There's been quite a growth in the use of platforms like Instagram, but we found that Instagram was very good at brand and awareness raising, but not very good at actually driving direct conversions for open day registrations themselves. So it wasn't a platform that we found the best return on from a cost per lead perspective, but still something that's quite good for a general brand awareness raising exercise. I think people have got a lot of different experiences of Twitter. We found last year Twitter to be really effective at generating quality leads during clearing and actually quite a lot of phone calls. Now this year we saw a big shift in Twitter, and actually we're starting to find now that it's not driving that many leads and many people actually engaging with the institution. It's more just getting a lot of clicks and awareness raising. So maybe that goes back into the nature of how young people are using the platform now, but we are starting to see the effectiveness in Twitter for open day registrations drop ever so slightly. Then when we go into Facebook and Google, we still see these two as the main traffic drivers and the main overall drivers for actual leads themselves. And a lot of people are saying Facebook is out of date and it's only used by old people, which we are apparently. But actually, we're still finding 16, 17, 18-year-olds, we're getting lots and lots of great leads out of it. Now on Facebook, there's so many different ad types that you can use now. There's newsfeed, standard, multi-product, canvas, and the actual lead gen adverts themselves. Now, many institutions have tested the lead gen adverts on Facebook, and they've been saying, oh, it's great, we're getting so many leads. But those students have not been on your website, they've not actually read a lot of the information, and actually we find that the conversions from those type of ads aren't as high. So if your objective is leads and registrations, then fine, yeah, maybe use Facebook lead gen ads. But if you're actually looking at the full funnel and you're looking at quality leads coming in who are going to attend, then I definitely steer more towards the Facebook newsfeed ads and the carousel ads as a good way of driving quality traffic and then students actually inquiring on the website itself. And then finally with Google and YouTube. YouTube doesn't really drive that many direct conversions, but we do find it as a very strong brand piece to use around an open day. You can do it with very small budget, and the video like Holes there worked phenomenally well on YouTube to raise awareness around the open day period, because it was one of those ads where you had to skip to miss this ad and watch something else. But actually the people who viewed it all the way through, because it starts off as quite an engaging piece, were really high. So again, I think it's about the way you use YouTube, but I do think it's quite a formidable platform from a brand perspective. And then finally, Google we find is the strongest platform in terms of lead generation and then actual bums on seats. So if that's what you're targeted on as an institution, search is a very good platform to achieve that. It goes back to how competitive you wish to be. A lot of people will just focus their advertising for open days in their local area. And the question is, would you get those students anyway without that advertising? And should you be focusing that advertising in new regions where people maybe don't know about you? And that is, I think, something that institutions should start testing. Test your advertising in the local area and then split it in half and try it in a new area that you're trying to reach. Get those results and find out where the best return is coming from, and then start to think about your markets in a far more informed way to show where you should advertise. Quite often we get asked by universities to target the whole of the UK with their open day, and there is so much wasted spend sometimes in doing that, because you're going to get people engaging who aren't going to come and study with you the majority of the time. So it really is about identifying who your market are and then placing your media accordingly. That's it from me. I'm going to hand over to Alex, but to kind of sum up my section, again, it goes back to those 4 pillars: the creativity and innovation, and trying something that's a little bit different. Getting some content that's actually going to work across different platforms and is going to be something that creates an experience for students, and then doing the advertising side of things where you're actually tracking students' main engagement points all the way through to the eventual bum on seat and then their eventual enrolment. And now to actually kind of show the next piece of the picture, so I've spoken more about advertising and creative. I'm going to hand over to Alex, who's going to talk a lot more about the technology side of things and how you can really nurture the leads that you get from the open day campaigns themselves. And what we're going to do, just to have seen some of the questions, we're going to answer everyone's questions via Twitter afterwards as well, I think, for those that we don't have time to answer. And we are going to send through the videos afterwards as well to all the attendees, because we've had some feedback that some of them have lagged. So yes, we'll send through links to all of the videos. Just have one more question about Spotify as well, which I'm going to answer now. Sorry, I didn't say anything about the Spotify one. Spotify, again, is quite a difficult one to track. It depending on how you use it. When we use it from a digital perspective, we haven't found tremendous results out of it. A lot of young people do actually use Spotify Premium, so they get away from the adverts. They bypass all of it. So again, it depends on how you use it. I would favour Spotify over any radio advertising for an undergraduate audience, but it doesn't really drive direct conversions. So again, to go back to the purpose of YouTube, it serves a similar function to Spotify. And if you've got limited budget and you're targeted on open day registrations in isolation, then the platforms I would prioritize are Facebook and Google. I haven't even spoken about publishers, you know, opendays.com, the Student Room, there's lots of different publishers. And we are actually right in the middle of a research project on all of the publishers and the actual traffic that generates for them and our findings on actual results across the publishers. So we'll probably do another webinar on that in the next few months when we've got that research finished. Because universities invest so much on publishers, but quite often only get statistics in their Google Analytics on traffic. So again, all this data is kind of being gathered at the moment, and we'll share that with you. Right, I'm going to go and hand this over to Alex.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Okay, so let's go on to our next slide. This is a lovely picture of me. I am part of the client services team at Akiro, which is the technology arm of NetNative. As many of you who already use the platform will know, Akiro is the backbone of NetNative's campaigns, providing a high converting landing page builder, a fully fledged CRM system, advanced automations, and a tangible means of reporting on your marketing ROI. What I'm going to do in this sort of next 15 minutes is show you how you can use Akiro to join up all the different strands of your open day and make sure that the whole process runs smoothly. We will look at how to register your potential students and keep them engaged before your event, simplify the process of registering attendees during the event, and then nurture those leads through the rest of your conversion funnel. So, how can you use Akiro in the run-up to your event? Statistically, a large proportion of you are already using Akiro. We've got over 50% of higher education institutions in the UK up and running on the platform, so you've probably got some familiarity with building landing pages to capture your online leads. For your open day preparation, you can utilize this functionality to create destination landing pages for your audience to submit their details and sign up through. You could use a standard promotional page within Akiro, or you could also try the competition type, which lets you pick a winner from your captured leads to help sort of incentivize attendance. You can then use Akiro's advanced automation features to automatically add these leads into our event capture app. In the list of actions, when you're building all of your workflows in the automate section, you'll find add lead to capture event, and you can select the specific one that you've built for your open day. You can also add some more actions here, maybe an email with a reminder a week after they sign up, just to let them know about the event and what's going to happen, maybe a how to find us, that sort of content there, or an SMS reminder if they've submitted a mobile number. So I've mentioned this event capture aspect of Akiro. So what sort of exactly is it? Essentially, event capture allows you to take your forms offline. You can then load them up on a desktop, tablet, or even a mobile and collect leads at your event. Speaking of mobile, if you've got your phones with you, I would highly recommend going to akirolabs.com and logging into your account, because we've just released the updated version, which is completely responsive for mobile. So you can go on there, you can have a look, and it looks absolutely beautiful now. The key thing to remember about our event capture app is that even if you lose connection to the Wi-Fi or to the mobile signal, you won't lose any data, and you'll still be able to collect all of your leads while you're offline. So let's actually go into the platform itself and have a look at how to set one of these up. So what we've got here is our home screen. To build a new capture event, you can go into capture up here and then offline/events. Go into the right one first of all. Here we go. Okay. So we've got one set up previously from an August open event. Every time you're in Akiro, you can see this red plus, means you can build something new. So you can click on here, give it a name, let's call it September 2016 event. Set any particular start date and type into any of your campaigns. This section here, you can completely customize and brand your event capture so that it matches the logo and sort of content matches colors from your website. Go through all of that, select all of the different options from that screen there. Next of all, you can select a branded image. You can use a sort of stock image of your campus if you'd like, or if you wanted to, you could build a sort of custom image that had some sort of call to action, maybe a competition. If you were going to leave the tablets at various places around the event, this sort of call to action could be something like submit your details here to win, so that students or potential students are incentivized to fill out the actual form. The next screen is the form builder itself, which works exactly the same as the online form builder. It's a completely drag and drop design, so you can easily customize the form. You can move all of those around like that. You can click on the plus there to add in any new form fields, and then you can save those different form fields so you can reference them again. Once you've built out the perfect looking form, collect all of the lead details that you want, click on create event down here. Confirm and create that, and then it will sit in this section here for you to access later on. So once you've built your event capture app, you can go into this installation link here. Open that in a new tab, and you have an account ID and passcode. Copy and paste each of those into the app, and you'll end up on your home screen. So you can see all of the different events that you've built so far. Let's go into this one that we created, and let's actually look at how this works. This is the home screen. We'll look at it first in guest list mode. This is where any pre-registered leads, this is how you would capture those details. So you can start off by typing the first three letters of their email address or the name, and then it will find that information, present you the rest of the form, and they can complete the rest of their details like that. However, if you have any leads that you have just met at the event, you can do it in a slightly different way. This section, you can enter your email address like this. hit enter, and then you get the rest of the form. Any form fields that you had on your edited one will appear here, so you can ask exactly what you want to ask in this section. You can then reference any of these form fields in your automations later on to sort of send really customized and personalized messages out to new leads. You can view all of your leads in the Manage and Lead section of Akiro there. So let's go back to our keynote here. Once you've run your successful event and collected your leads, you can start to think about what you'd like to do next. Using the Advanced Automations feature of Akiro, you can set up complex workflows to deliver the right message at the right time to your leads. You might want to start with a thank you email to all the leads that attended the event. Then maybe a few days later, you might want to ask for their feedback. If they then complete that form, then you can send them a thank you for that, and also maybe set their status in Akiro to qualified. Then what you can do is react to that and send them a call to action about getting more information. If they click a link in that email, then you can send them something more urgent, a more time, space-bound call to action. And for those less qualified leads, you might want to try a different approach. You might want to send them some information about what it's like to study at your university or some testimonials from alumni. All this can add up into a complex lead nurture process that reacts to what your leads are interested in. All of this can be built in Akiro and tracked from inquiry to enrollment. So that's the sort of run through of how Akiro can improve your open day processes and ensure that you're maintaining contact with your leads before, during, and after the event. For a sort of special offer for this webinar, we are currently running a bundle, essentially, where you can get 3 of our sort of top tier premium Akiro services for the price of 1. The first 10 people to sign up will get event capture, which is everything I showed you in that previous section, advanced automations, which enable you to send time delays, trigger new workflows, sort of send out much more personalized and tailored email messages, and a lead nurture strategy session. We are usually, that would sort of cost you about £2,000, but for the first 10 people to sign up, we are sort of pricing that at $750. So you'll be saving money and putting yourself in the best position for your next open day. If you have any questions, first of all, any questions about the webinar in general, please put them into the comment section and we will get back to you about that. If you have any specific questions for me about event capture, then do let me know in the comment section, or there will be an email going around after this with my details on. We can schedule some time to go through everything in more detail. So that is it for the webinar. I will give everyone just a couple of seconds to throw in some questions. If you do have anything that you have desperately need to ask, then please do so. But it has been a pleasure talking to you, and hopefully speak to you all very soon.